being accountable and making it right. Give me your top 3 issues as you see them that are affecting the voters and the residents of District 98, New Orleans in general, as well as across the state. And how will you approach them if elected to represent the district?
If you talk to voters knocking door to door, people generally concerned, first and foremost, about that flooding we've had recently. Second, they're concerned about education and general opportunities in the district. And third, they're concerned, they don't feel safe. So let's hit them one after the other.
Okay.
In terms of the drainage and the infrastructure, I have an engineering background. If you're driving a recent car from anybody other than Honda or Tesla, that cruise control system is something I helped invent. So you're already trusting me with your life, by the way. I also have a JD from Tulane, graduated magna cum laude. I have an MBA from Tulane. So I have a different skill set coming into this. And I think part of the problem we have is that it's not that you don't need any lawyers in the legislature. It's that we have a team with no experiential diversity. We don't have anybody who knows how to have a conversation. They don't know what questions to ask when we're talking about doing flood control. So we spent however many millions, billions of dollars on all that drainage, and now it's worse. Mm-hmm. It's the same with education. We have this massive educational debate in this state, Act 91, charters, local schools, so forth. Nobody in that debate is talking about actual research and evidence-based policy. I'm currently the president of an education nonprofit, and it drives me crazy. I am friends with John Hattie. He wrote a book called Visible Learning. It's 4 politicians. It summarizes like 50,000 evidence-based education studies. Not a soul in this state talking about that. We need to be talking about how do we get all of our teachers certified, national board certified? How can we, make that doable? How can we get them video feedback review in the classroom? People don't magically become great teachers. I didn't magically become a good engineer. We need to make sure there's a support system in place. And we need to stop fighting over power and control, and let's focus on results. And with regard to the crime rate is down by numbers, but people aren't feeling it. And I think the reason they're not feeling it is because they don't see the police making them safe. What they see is the police, writing people traffic tickets and these traffic cameras, and they see what happens on TV with, innocent people getting shot or arrested or, stopped and frisked for no real reason. Our justice system has a higher rate of confession than people in the Spanish Inquisition. Mm-hmm. The police aren't working, and they're not working for the public. What they're doing is they're arresting people and locking them up so the people running the private prisons can make a buck. We need to completely revamp that system. We need to separate out, nonviolent crime, particularly drugs. That needs to be treated as the medical issue it is, not as a crime. If you're criminalizing it, people aren't going to get treatment. And we need to focus the police on, dangerous, violent crime, not on, harassing people and violating their rights.
Okay. I want to not really double back. You kind of talked about the education as an issue, but we do have some very specific questions. Of course, the outcomes and quality of the services that are being provided to students is paramount. But the issue of transparency and accountability and governance is still an important one, particularly here locally, where there are many people, us included, who don't believe that exists and who don't believe that we have what is really and truly local control. I want to know your position on Act 91, and more specifically, I want to know if you, if elected, would be willing to fight for real local control for the parents, students, voters, and taxpayers of Orleans Parish.
So Mayor Cantrell has a pledge as part of her Fair Share initiative that you will fight for local control. I was one of the first candidates to sign that pledge. Too much of what goes on in New Orleans is run out of Baton Rouge, and we don't need a bunch of people from the north of the state who never going to set foot here telling us how to run our business. I think this, even within the city, this is a diverse city, and what people need in one neighborhood differs from what people need in another. Mm-hmm. And if you're passing some, massive law up in Baton Rouge, it's going to apply everywhere in the state of Louisiana. You're never going to get solutions that fit people. So that has to come to the local level, and it has to be done in a way where people are politically accountable. Right now, the Sewage and Water Board, even though the mayor is the head of that board, she has very little control. She can't keep people accountable. The best she can do is go on TV and try to pressure those people into doing the right thing. She needs to have the authority to do the right thing. And even people who disagree with her, she won that election. She has a right to, run the city and set policy according to what she ran on. And we need to fight for that.
So as it pertains to public education.
Right. Education, infrastructure, across the board,
Okay.
Local control and transparency. And my real concern in general with the transparency is we're drifting toward a government by experts. Part of the reason I got in this race is I'm tired of showing up or calling politicians and saying, hey, this is a problem. I have some knowledge in this area. Let me help you. They don't listen. They don't respond. And then when you ask them, hey, why did you vote this way? Well, so-and-so on my staff said this was a good idea. Or I found this guy who testified real credible. They got no clue of any of the actual evidence involved in the issue. They aren't making a decision that they can be accountable to voters for.
Gotcha.
I've got a research background. I can show up and explain why I made a decision. And if I screw up, I'm going to apologize.